Good evening and welcome to The Big Fight, the show that is young at 21, the oldest running debate show on Indian News Television. I'm Sanket Upadhyay. Political action in West Bengal is heating up once again, but the proportions it is assuming are dangerous to say the very least. There is stone pelting, violence, killing and charges of conspiracy. Almost a reminder of how things were just ahead of Lok Sabha 2019. On The Big Fight tonight, we are going to discuss the present state of political affairs and also, with the help of data, analyze and study who has the edge in battleground Bengal. It has really come down to these two personalities, Modi and Mamata Banerjee. Also on the show, a candid interview with the Governor of West Bengal, Mr. Jagdeep Dhankar, who battled allegations of being a political governor. He advises Mamata Banerjee to not play with fire. That interview is going to play out in just a short moment. All right, let me introduce our guest this evening, Professor Om Prakash Mishra. He is the spokesperson of the Trinamool Congress, is now with us. Thank you very much, Professor Mishra, for joining us. Smita Prakash, editor of the ANI, is also with us. Thank you very much, Smita Prakash. Jawhar Sircar, former CEO of Prasar Bharati, is also going to be with us, and Bhaskar Ghosh, leader of the Bharatiya Janata Party, will also be with us. Mr. Sircar, your opening comment, can you hear me? Jawhar Sircar, can you hear me? Hi, good evening. Your opening comments on what you feel about this political violence, and also in the run-up to 2021, who has the edge between predominantly these two parties, BJP or the TMC. Mr. Sircar, your time begins now. 1 minute.
Okay. Now, this is going to be quite a violent sort of a contest. It shows all the signs of it. There is a history of violence in Bengal that starts from 1905, the terrorist movement, and there is a history. But this time it looks like there's a lot of preparation for this sort of for aggravating the situation, if I may put it. There's a deliberate attempt to aggravate. We feel as common citizens that there is a deliberate attempt in Bengal to introduce violence, to introduce communalism, to introduce all sorts of... I'm not saying that the TMC is very peaceful. TMC has its own issues of show of strength and all that. But then it's being poked, if I may use the term, poked this time with a lot of money, a lot of disinformation, communalization, which is very, very painful. Okay. This is like Kerala, this is not intrinsically a communal.
Okay. Jawhar Sircar, we know how the BJP fights elections. We know how they fought the Greater Hyderabad municipality election. I mean, the joke was that short of Donald Trump, everyone's campaigning there. Assuddin Owaisi said the same. So I want to know from you, is it necessarily wrong for a political party to increase the stakes when it can see itself winning, so long as it does not turn violent? Or are we to assume violence has just become a byproduct of a political contest in this country?
No. On the specific issue of violence, I would say that there has always been, I have conducted the parliament elections for the state as CEO. Now, I have seen violence and it's an integral part, but it's in scattered bits and pieces that make the headline. Here we see an issue of sustaining violence, a degree of polarization along community lines that is very, very painful. B, a well-machined, well-oiled, well-paid for propaganda through the social media that the Trinamool can never match. It's being pumped in. C, there's a class in Bengal, a small class in Bengal, the upper class, that has never been comfortable with either the Marxists or with the Trinamool. It considers the Trinamool leadership to be a little lower than their economic standing. Okay. Now, this class is rejoicing because after 70 years, they finally think that they will get their political ascendancy. Now, this small class, which is Hindu, upper middle class is split, of course. A large component is, as usual in Bengal, completely secular and neutral. A small component has converted this anti-Mamata feeling of theirs, a bit of anti-Muslim pampering issue, into a polarizing drive, into a coordinated attack that is going on. I am not saying for a moment that the Trinamool is a very peaceful party. It's not. It's not. It can also have its own share of dadagiri, if I may put it. But then, as a distant observer, I feel that there's a lot of provocation going on. 2 years ago, a series of riots were, if I may use the term, engineered, with the little social media entries and all that.
Sure.
And the footage of violence that was captured, which was one community at the other, was actually portrayed as one community as a victim, the majority being a victim. I mean, all sorts of, the dirty tricks department is working overtime.
Okay.
Is working overtime.
Okay.
Trinamool also needs to become more tolerant, more broad-based, take in other components.
Sure.
But then this sort of a thing, it's almost a pre-planned aggression. They just cannot stand regional leaders. I'm not saying that Mamata Banerjee is not autocratic. I personally...
Okay, yeah, you made that point, Mr. Sircar. I think that's a point well made.